Hello world, or you 10 people that keep tuning in. You're watching 80s Music Twin Ranked.
Or today's music sucks.
That's right. And we're getting close to 50 artists we've covered, if not. I mean, a couple that we've...
Well, yeah, we've done 50 artists, but not our top 50 yet.
Have we hit yours yet? Because there's a lot. So that's the reason
Yeah,
for
we got
this
like
whole
200, I think, artists.
Eventually we'll get to 200, if not more, because there's one hit.
Or at 100, we'll say we're done.
Anyways, today's artist is Davy Jones of the Monkees. No, it's not. It is Davy Jones, though.
He changed his name to Bowie. He liked the Bowie knife, so he made that his last name.
Right. So he's British.
Or we're doing Ziggy Stardust.
Both.
Or the Thin White Man. Or is it the Thin Pale Man? I think it's
the Thin White Man, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, so anyways, David Bowie, named Davy Jones, or David Jones, but he called himself David Jones. He had like some singles before he even put out his first album, which is kind of weird. But he changed his name, and Jim Bowie, in case you don't know who he is, he was one of the guys who defended the Alamo.
Yes, yeah.
We're not going to go into any history there, though. So he liked, the Bowie knife, which is weird because he's British. And so you'd think it would be an American.
A lot of these people don't remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo. Why is that a phrase?
I don't know. It just is.
Okay, so I don't know, is this our first? Probably not our first artist, but I think it might
in
be
the
our
60s.
No, it's not our. It's our first artist to actually have hits starting in the 60s, and he actually had a top 40 hit all the way into this past decade.
Yeah.
So 5 decades. Well, he actually between 2000 and 2010, he really didn't have anything. That was his.
But our top 10 will probably stop in the 80s for sure. I don't think we have anything past the 80s.
No, you're wrong there.
Is there a 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
One. So
All right, we have one in the 90s.
Best of Bowie. If you get this album, you'll know what his best songs are because it contains all of them, including our top 10 and including our ones that didn't make the cut. So we always recommend if you were going to go get albums,
we would suggest
studio albums. We would suggest Last Dance. But for all artists, if you're really going to go get albums, go get their greatest hits.
Yeah, and I had David Bowie's changes. He has changes too also.
Are those live or compilations?
Compilations.
Compilations.
They're not live.
So but the one song from that one album, what's it called? Suffragette City, right?
Okay.
Or is it Suffragette or Suffragette?
I've heard both ways.
Both ways, yeah.
I think it's Suffragette, though.
Okay. That was on that album, right? First time it appeared? I think.
Well, I've had it, so I don't know what first album it was on.
Okay, so I would say so let's start with his first hit,
Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey in 1969, which is odd. That does not sound like a song.
It's an oddity.
Space Oddity.
Yes. Not Odyssey. Yeah,
but there's a movie called 2001: A Space Odyssey. I would rank the song and the movie together because both are overrated to me. You do hear a Space Oddity a lot, and I don't know. It's one of those songs that's depressing.
Because the way it's slowed down.
It ends up where if you listen to the lyrics, the guy is stranded in space.
Yeah.
He's like, ground control, there's something wrong. All my instruments are down.
Can you hear me?
If he's a real guy, he's still out there.
Now there was a song in the 80s called Major Tom, right?
Right.
1, 2,
Peter
3,
Schilling.
4.
Right. All right, and this guy's name was Major Tom, right? That went up there in Space Odyssey.
It was Drift.
Ground control to Major Tom. Right, okay. So, if you don't know what song we're talking about based on the radio, perhaps you saw Big Daddy with Adam Sandler in it, because they had this short segment where they were doing everything, including the clapping. All their oddball characters.
The only song that reminds me of this one is Elton John's Rocketman.
And I think there's another one out there that I can't think of right now.
Well, I can't say that. We just brought up Major Tom, so I can't say the only others.
Right, I know, but that was the 80s. Rocketman was also later. It was 70s.
70s,
So
we
you had
close
a
to
song
these.
from the 60s, 70s, 80s that all cover the space. And then there's Armageddon. That was out of space, and Aerosmith did that.
Yeah, now he didn't just have. It wasn't just space with the Space Odyssey. He also had Starman, and then Ziggy Stardust and Spider.
So
Spiders of Mars.
Spider, yeah, something like that.
His band.
So his band's called Spiders from Mars. Yeah, and that, you know what, his look. Okay, so that's not David Bowie.
They call it androgynous.
Yeah,
androgynous. So he looks like he could be male or female, is what they say. And this character.
Yeah, so I don't know, when he did Rebel Rebel, was he still Ziggy Stardust?
I only think Ziggy Stardust was that, like around that one album, really.
And he
reinvented it. He's one of the artists people say he reinvented his sound. Every other album they put out, he was different. Then he started going into like a jazzy blues kind of thing. He did like Young American and Golden Years. Those were then Let's Dance. He was getting more pop, yeah.
Yeah. So
and then after that, he started getting weird stuff. That's why he's in the top 10 anymore. But
so he's all over the place. He does have good stuff. Most of his hits probably are from the 70s that people would rank other than us.
Speaking of Elton John, also Elton John had a song called Genie Genie.
Yeah,
and,
Little Genie.
Little Genie?
Little Genie. Yeah, and he has the Genie.
Genie, yeah.
Which one? I don't know what that means.
Genie, I don't know if you listen to it, it sounds like The Doors' Roadhouse Blues.
Okay. And they also had Blue Jean, so Gene and Gene. And then you said before we started this video, you had a song called Without Me.
Without You, which is I don't know which one was from Labyrinth, the movie Labyrinth, which was 1986, and one was from an album in 1983. Within You, Without You.
Okay.
So they sound nothing alike.
So he's got this created character called Ziggy Stardust. I guess he had to do that because he wasn't very sociable outside of rock and roll.
Yeah,
so he creates his character
persona. So that's
and now he's suddenly an extrovert instead of an introvert because of a character he played.
Yeah, and then he was into really cocaine in his beginning. He was kind of. He said he was even insane at one point. He would leave and still be in that character.
And that reminds me of Pee Wee Herman. Because, I don't know, did you ever see Pee Wee Herman? Not Pee Wee Herman?
Oh yeah, Midnight Madness.
Well, I know that, but I mean...
the Blues Brothers too?
He might have been, but once he became Pee Wee Herman, he stayed Pee Wee Herman in and out of TV. So you came across him, he was Pee Wee Herman. Peter Gabriel was weird when he was in concert. It reminded me of that, dressing up and all. So, and man, he was a skinny guy. Red hair, the weird flaming red hair. Okay, so I wanted to do this first. So we get a little trivia. Not the trivia you're thinking. So if we were to describe today's age, we now have 4 choices. Okay?
Okay.
So if we go through our
baby boomers?
No.
Oh, that's not what you're talking about?
Millennials,
Gen
X,
Gen
like which song applies to today? Okay? And you said, Who Are You? Okay? From The Who. Land of Confusion from Genesis.
Okay. They all apply, actually.
Right. What was the one you had mentioned before? Oh, gosh. Aerosmith, Dude Looks Like a Lady. And now we have Rebel Rebel, because the very first 2 lines, you got your mother in a whirl, doesn't know if you're a boy or a girl. New submission. So there you go. And video deleted from YouTube. Which is funny. I mean, it's coming from Ziggy Stardust, and he's androgynous, which is, you don't know which one they are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, back to the songs. So he actually had a movie out, right, during the 70s.
The Man Who Fell to the Earth.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not.
Okay, I have not.
There is another series now, redone. A black actor plays the character.
Okay.
It's a series, like on Prime or Netflix. Or something.
Yeah, and I think he was making that movie to be Ziggy Stardust. It's supposed to be an alien, right? It's a man who fell to the earth, but it's an alien.
Nicholas Rogue. He's not really He's
Not
a famous name, but I looked
not
at
a
his movies.
mainstream guy.
Yeah, his movies aren't really mainstream.
Yeah, so and I've never seen. I kind of want to see it, but it looks too weird, and he's weird, so staying away from it.
Yeah,
Matter of
he's
fact,
got some good characters.
yeah,
I like Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum. He played an assassin, I think. In that
he
movie.
did. I did.
Yeah, I like this character in there.
Right.
And,
Labyrinth, he was the Goblin King.
yeah, the guy.
Right? Obviously, he had to sing in that, so it makes it less scary. Absolute Beginners, he has the title song, and he was in that. By the way, the director of Absolute Beginners is the same director.
Did Blue Jean, right? Julian Temple.
He actually had, for that video, the big deal back then, right? 20-minute long. And it has a storyline building up until the song. So it was kind of cool. I rewatched it.
Yeah, he plays two characters. He plays the singer and a guy that's a fan. But he's trying to flirt with this woman, and in the end, the singer gets a bunch. It's him, but
right. But the rock star already knew the girl, and then they walk off together.
And he's following the car, saying he's arguing with the director.
I know, like the ending got changed from what he had in the script. The rock star actually does go out with the girl. He's like, hey, she's supposed to get out of the car. So. Blue Jean, very funny video for some reason.
And I like the song too.
Yeah, for some reason, nothing else to me stood out on that album. He did have an album 2 years later, 2 or 3 years, actually, it's not on this board, with 2 top 30 hits. I don't recall them ever playing on the radio.
Yeah.
Never Let Me Down. So.
Alright, so you had Space Odyssey. What's the next after?
Space Oddity.
Oddity, what was the next hit?
Okay.
There is a video
we're
for
going through
Space
songs as opposed to albums.
Yeah.
I switched to board, so if you want to know the album, I might mention the album. Okay, so Space Oddity, he didn't have anything for quite a few years after that.
Yeah.
His very first hit after that was Changes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Blues Brothers.
Yeah, he has a song called Changes, and that's why he probably named his. That was one thing he did though as an artist. He changed his music every couple albums.
Right.
It was different, not the same genre all the time.
But tell me that beginning doesn't sound like Peter Gunn. Again.
The horns.
Yeah, and then he does his stuttering. Who was the one who did the stuttering before? Roger.
Roger Daltrey, yeah.
Okay, so we got
Generation.
all right, so he did Changes. Next album, and that was off of Hunky Dory. And I think that was the only hit off of that, which is weird. He's putting out albums with one hit on them.
Yeah, I was like, I get to, there's words I know, and I like that line where he's like, you can't tell them anything because they are quite aware of what they're going to. That's like self-awareness.
All right, so
like that line.
Next one, Ziggy Stardust. So Ziggy Stardust, Starman was put out.
Yeah, but that wasn't really a single.
Ziggy Stardust was not a single either. But that's the more famous song, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you had to remind me to put that on the list because I didn't know.
Yeah, and by the end, what do we know about Ziggy?
He plays guitar.
He plays guitar.
And he's not an alien, right?
Ziggy Stardust? He might be.
Supposed to be an alien. Aliens play guitar.
He's a Starman, probably.
So aliens play guitar. They probably got that guitar that Boston shot up there.
No, I believe David Bowie did teach himself guitar.
Okay.
And he plays piano too.
Yeah,
I saw that he played the ukulele.
I forgot he played anything
Yeah.
until I saw his videos. Okay, so and that might have been his only hit off of that one. A few more albums. Aladdin Sane was a popular album. Doesn't have any hits released off of it, as far as I can tell. Of course, what was
the next one?
He would have been bigger hit. He would have been bigger in Britain, obviously, than America for a lot. Even though he mentions Americans a lot in his songs.
Well, he's got 2 songs for sure.
3 if you count the Falcon and the Snow.
Oh, Young Americans.
Young Americans.
Young Americans.
This is not America.
This is not America.
And I'm afraid of
Americans. Where he's running from actually imaginary people, because at the end of the show he looks and somebody shoots up the cab he was just in, and then he looks the car he was in is fine, and the person's not like.
He also said he was afraid of the world. So I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. Okay, next one. Next hit from Diamond Dogs. There's 2 hits. Well, actually, am I right on it? No, I'm not. 1 hit. Rebel, Rebel.
Rebel, Rebel, yeah.
Yes, and that's got the
that's all the drums.
Hot Tramp, I Love You So. Like, yeah, that's probably should have been a cut song. Don't put that on the radio. We don't want to talk about tramps. And that's one I already mentioned with the lines.
Well, around this time we had, you know, Rebel, Gene. That's why it sounds.
Maybe that's where Aladdin Sane came from, but it didn't rank high in America. Okay, then you had 2 songs on the next one. Oh wait, Young Americans did come from Diamond Days.
Okay,
I correct myself.
Young Americans really different though, and that was probably that's my first favorite song.
Right. Now, Young Americans is actually that's the saxophone solo that I started to tell you about. Previous artist. This is the one with David Sanborn,
and he has a line in there from a Beatles song, "A Day in the Life."
Okay, I don't know.
I heard the news today, oh boy. That's from A Day in the Life of the Beatles.
And on that one, Luther Vandross is a background singer. If you look at the video, you got the black singers. One of them is Luther Vandross. He had a lot of helpers throughout his career. Like I said, David Sanborn on the saxophone. If we were to list good saxophone solos from artists that were popular during the 80s, obviously it's the 70s song. There's a lot of songs with saxophone. I don't know why people don't use it anymore. All right, next one. And I just messed up again, didn't I? I just said Diamond Dogs had Young Americans. Next album's called Young Americans. that's
where it came from.
That's the album it's from. See, I don't have the correct list in front of me. So Young Americans and Fame were on the same CD.
Fame is with John Lennon.
John Lennon is backing
Beatles.
His first #1 hit in America, Fame.
And now, here's the thing. With them, their voices are so close. They're going back and forth. I can't tell which one's which.
No, I didn't know that either. And how do you like the middle with the drum? Do. That's the drum solo.
Young Americans has a pretty good drum solo.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Right. Golden Years and
Golden Years. Okay, so that's his
Suffragette City.
But there's a Stephen King miniseries called Golden Years, and they use that song as a theme song, I believe.
Do they? Okay. I thought that I remember seeing that on MTV, but it wasn't. It was Fashion, because one of them goes wop wop, but the other one goes beep beep. It's beep beep. I remember saying. Okay. Then we got Suffragette City, which does not mean what you think it is. That's about women's rights, and the song has nothing to do with women's rights. So why it's called Suffragette City, I don't know. Okay. Then you got the next hit, which is Heroes.
And that is they redo that song. There's a couple. I know there's a couple TV shows or movies that use it, but Moulin Rouge famously has it in one of their songs.
Okay, I know the one that the Wallflowers did. We mentioned the Wallflowers in the previous video from doing Tom Petty Travel.
Yeah, David, Bob Dylan's son,
Jacob. They redid Heroes, and it was used for the Godzilla movie that Matthew Broderick was in. If you look at a video, so that's the one I remember. And he sounds like he's like whining kind of in that song. You don't want to be heroes. So it's like, oh yeah. Okay, so he doesn't really have another hit to me until Fashion, which I just mentioned. I watched a video. The one guitarist looks familiar, and I'm like, who's he? He played with Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Okay.
If you look at him, it's not the G.E. Smith, but he looks similar to him. I think his name's Robert Fripp. And that comes from an album called Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. There's a title for you. Should have got the album from the library to open the sleeve to see if there's any pictures of Scary Monsters. Okay. Then he did a lot of duets too, right? So he had Queen and him did Under Pressure.
Yeah.
So we're doing this song, ranking this song for the second time.
Yeah,
I don't think Queen's, when we did Queen, that version didn't make the top 10. So,
now, we had talked about the Under Pressure. How do you know when you hear it on the radio? When you first hear it between Vanilla Ice. I figured it out right away now. Is Vanilla Ice is when if you don't hear the dun dun, if you don't hear that, it's not Vanilla Ice.
Really?
Yeah.
So his goes immediately into that.
His just goes do 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 do.
Oh, okay.
Do 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 do. Nothing there, it's Vanilla Ice.
Okay, gotcha.
Ding, ding.
I gotcha. And then there was followed by a soundtrack for Cat's People. He wasn't in that. I'm thinking, I'm like, he looks like he should be in that, and I realized he looks like Malcolm McDowell.
No, yeah.
And that's why.
Cat People, I've never seen the movie, but I've seen parts of it.
I've seen it.
And, I mean, it's a remake.
Yeah, I saw the original
The
too.
black and white, but the scene I saw where the, what is it, a leopard or what is that, Black Panther? Rips the guy's arm off in the cage. Saw that scene.
Yes. I don't think I'd recommend that movie. The original was tame in comparison, for sure. All right, and then that's where we come up to his biggest selling album, and probably our favorite because one, he's normal. Two, it's from the 80s, and we grew up in the 80s.
Yeah, and probably the first song, it's called Let's Dance, and that was probably the first song released from it.
That's his second #1 single in America. I think he only had two. So Let's Dance would have been, out of all his hits, Let's Dance and Fame. Kind of the same slow beat, not really ballads, but Let's Dance, it actually has a pretty good guitar solo for being as slow as it is. And nice horn section.
Yeah, and in the video, he's standing against the wall of a bar out in the middle of nowhere.
And that sounds...
there's a bass player beside him.
That does remind me of Pete Townshend's Face to Face, because that's what he does. All right.
China Girl, I like that video where they're looking at each other, and there's the one point where they're going, shh. And the second time when they do it, like smoke comes towards you.
And I like that one because, again, it's China Girl. Is it racist? I don't know. But the music, music is Chinese.
Now,
right?
When I first saw the video, though, I just assumed that was somebody he was dating.
Right. I don't know when. I know he didn't start until around this time, but so he's another artist that we're covering that dated a model, Iman.
Or is it I-Man?
I would assume it's Iman. She appeared in a Michael Jackson video later.
Oh, but
I think she was still married to him.
He was previously married to Mary Angela or something like that. And he had a son, Duncan Jones, because his last name was actually Jones.
Is he famous?
His son directed Moon with Sam Rockwell.
Oh, okay. I saw that movie. All right.
Pretty good movie.
Yeah, pretty good movie for
Except
a
for
movie
one thing now is Kevin Spacey is canceled and he's the voice of the computer.
Okay, another soundtrack. What was the other soundtrack? He had so many soundtrack songs. Like I said, Labyrinth, Absolute Beginners. Next album, you think because Let's Dance was. By the way, Let's Dance is the cover.
Although, I like the other one. There's 3 songs. Modern Love was also on there.
Yes.
And he only sings half the parts. The other people are singing the other half.
And Modern Love, I mentioned this in the Robert Palmer video. The drummer is Tony Thompson, who is at Power Station.
Yeah.
Do you like his blue suit that he's wearing? I mean, now he doesn't have red hair anymore. He has blonde hair up at this point, and he's still skinny. So.
Yeah, but you gotta get me out of church on time.
Even though he doesn't want no religion. All right, back to after I get cut off. Let's Dance. He's on the cover, shows him in boxing gloves. So, Let's Dance was a phrase, not going up to a girl and saying, "Hey, do you want to dance?" But
no,
Let's Dance.
It's Let's Dance is a phrase like he's in boxing like you want to fight. It's like Daddy's Home. Part 2 or Part 1, where
I didn't watch either of those.
Bill Burr wants to fight Mark Wahlberg, and he's like, and they start dancing, and they do a dance off instead. That's how they were gonna fight. That's how they did it.
Okay. So but the song itself actually doesn't sound.
No, but you want to get in a fight, you go, all right, come on, let's dance.
But the song doesn't talk about boxing, so. But I'm just saying, when you see him on the cover in boxing gloves, it reminds me of John Cougar Mellencamp for the Authority song. Neither one of them should be in a ring boxing anybody.
One knockout.
Yeah, so he has the next year he puts out Tonight, which has Blue Jean. I think the song Tonight was also released, but didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the last time I remember.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw it.
Even though, well, actually, I lied again. on his albums. He did do another duet the next year, famously with Mick Jagger, and there's a
Dancing in the Streets.
and there's a good video where it's all silent.
Yeah, they call them shreds. They call them shreds, where they take the music away and they'll just do like what the sounds would be of normal.
And it's not them. Somebody obviously dubs in their own voice.
But it's pretty hilarious.
You gotta watch it. Yeah, and then also the same year, well, no, next year, Absolute Beginners and Labyrinth, which had some songs released, but I'm sure they didn't play on the radio. It's like putting the Muppet, although I looked at it, when the Muppet movie came out with the Rainbow Connection, that was actually a top 40 hit.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's just amazing that a song that a Muppet sang could go up the charts. Okay, 97, he put out Never Let Me Down, had 2 top 30 hits. I don't remember any hits being
in pretty much after in the 90s, he stopped his solo career for a while. He became the head singer for a band called
Tin Machine. And I actually listened to a song. I would have put some, none of them actually ranked, so maybe I wouldn't have put him on our list. But they actually sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
And he grew a beard, and so it was kind of cool.
Now, he had died in, what year was it?
2016.
2020, I said 17. All right. So he died and he put out an album called Black Star
on his birthday, right?
No, 2 days. He put it out. He put it out, and he died. I'm sorry. He put the album out.
No, I think he put it out on his birthday.
He put. Oh yeah. Okay,
he died.
He put it out on
2
his
days
birthday.
later.
He died 2 days later.
So and then after he died, then that album shot up the charts.
Yeah.
And probably not because.
So and his last song, as you said last week,
Lazarus.
Ironic. It's called Lazarus
because isn't he in a coffin in some of it?
But the point is, Lazarus in the Bible is somebody that comes back to life.
Yeah, he's dead, and then he comes back to life. David Bowie is not coming back to life. But the album did soar up the charts after that. And that would have been his last hit, Lazarus. Made it right to 40, and that's it. So he was irrelevant from 1997 to 2016, almost hit.
Well, I mean, his past hits, he was an influencer, but not for anything he was doing currently. So.
Right. Okay, so movie-wise, we like the 80s music, obviously. And even though he didn't have many albums in the 80s, 80s music was good. That's when we were in high school. But he also put out quite a bit of movies in the 80s. Okay, so in the 70s, he only put out that one, right? In the 80s, he
was in Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Absolute Beginners.
Right.
Labyrinth.
Right.
What else?
Siskel and Ebert, I remember doing a review about a movie called Merry Christmas, Mr.
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas.
I've never seen it.
No, but he's like in the foxhole or something like that.
Yeah, and I remember doing the imitation of smoking a cigarette when he didn't have a cigarette to the Chinese people.
Or he's a POW. He was a POW.
Prisoner of war, yeah. So apparently it's critically acclaimed. He played Pontius Pilate in The Last Temptation of Christ.
Martin Scorsese film.
He played Andy Warhol in a movie later.
So he was friends with him.
Who?
David Bowie is friends with Andy Warhol.
Okay, well maybe that's why.
Because I read it said he played his friend Andy Warhol. Like,
right. Okay. Well, both of them are freaks, so why not? And he played somebody famous in The Prestige, a more recent movie. Prestige is a very good movie about magicians, not musicians, magicians. And he played a famous guy, Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Okay, and I think he was in something else. Oh, and we talked about duets.
He was in the Twin Peaks movie as an agent. Fire Walk With Me.
Yeah. So we mentioned that he did a duet with Mick Jagger, Freddie Mercury with Queen, and Bing Crosby.
Which I had told you that
they were originally
Bing Crosby's, I don't know if he had a son or a daughter that was into David Bowie.
Okay. And, when you watch them, they actually don't look like they go together.
But they do.
But it is a good song.
Well, obviously, they're singing 2 different songs. They start with Little Drummer Boy, and they split off, and David Bowie's singing the Peace on Earth song.
So, one of the few Christmas songs I actually like. I like the Little Drummer Boy as a song in general anyways. We're drummers.
That's why you like that?
I don't know. What else is he? Was he anything?
All right, well, we already went through them, but now let's put them in order. The top 10.
The top 10. Yeah, let's go to the top.
There you go, top 10.
One more movie that I forgot to mention, and it's because I just recently watched it. He was a vampire in The Hunger. I just recently watched it. And then
You watched the old one with Susan Sarandon?
yes, and he eventually turns really old and skin crumbles and all that.
I saw it way in the 90s. I think I saw it.
Yeah, and I think
Catherine Deneuve.
it ended basically showing, I think, with hinting that Susan Sarandon ended up becoming a vampire.
Because The Hunger is also another movie that they've made
it's now
into
a TV series, right?
Yeah, so he's had 2 movies.
Because nothing is new.
Yes, they cannot. Nobody has new ideas. They have to reboot old things or have sequels, which are the same thing as rebooting.
Right. Okay, so here we go with our top 10 list. Honorable mentions as the start. First one comes from me, and that's Rebel Rebel. I put that in my top 10. You did not. You put Changes in your top 10, and it's not. And both of those were ranked low in our top 10. But so we agree on the majority of what should be in the top 10.
Okay.
Okay, so number 10 would be Under Pressure. So this shows definitely that Queen was the...
Was it in Queen's
No.
top 10? Okay.
No, which means David Bowie's hits are not as good as Queen's.
Okay.
Because
it
didn't make their list
Yeah.
because they had better hits than him.
Right, okay.
Okay, so I put this at 10, you put it at 9. That comes from Hot Space, Queen album. So it wasn't a David Bowie album. Next one is from Young Americans, and this is Fame, which I do not have on the list, so that's the one that I didn't agree. I have this at 11, and you have it at 8. By the way, how high did you put Ziggy Stardust? When you corrected
I
me,
did not have it in the top 10.
neither one of us had it in top 10.
It was in the top 20.
I think both of us put it at 12.
I could be.
So we'll see what our top 11 are. Top 12, both of us put Ziggy Stardust, and that's it. Even though I didn't know that was the song that should have been ranked. Okay, so this Fame is not the Fame from the 80s. This came from 1975.
Not the Fame movie.
Yeah, but there was a song from Irene Cara called Fame.
Yeah.
That came out in 1980. Okay, next one up. This is Dancing in the Street. And I don't think this made our list with the Rolling Stones.
But it did make our list probably with Van Halen.
I have to look at that. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So possibly.
Because
Probably.
it
is a better
Because I
guitar.
love the guitar stuff.
Yeah, it might have been maybe one of the top 3. Okay, for David Lee Roth, obviously. So I have this one at 3 amongst their hits. And then you have it outside at the 11, which drops it down to number 8 on our list. And so, I didn't know this. That did not come off of anybody's album. Not a Mick Jagger album, not a David Lee.
Just released as a single?
That was it. So, that was back when they still sold little records, so that's probably how they sold it.
It was one of their it was one of their biggest selling
For that year.
hits. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you put 2 big stars like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, David Lee Bowie, because it's Van Halen. David Bowie and Mick Jagger, similar careers, and both. He's kind of weird too. David Bowie doesn't have his.
I read that David Bowie is bisexual, and that he actually had a relationship with Mick Jagger.
Really?
So maybe that's why they got together for that song. I don't know.
Let's not go there. All right. Next one up, number 7 comes from Changes, One Bowie, probably the album you got. I have this at 6. You have it at 7. It's Suffragette City.
Let's just cover our bases. If it's Jet or
Don't want to be wrong. Okay, so, and that, wait, yeah, that's the one where he gives tribute to Little Richard at the end. He goes, oh, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's a Little Richard thing. He also had tribute to somebody else, but I forget what it was for. Next one up. So, this is our first song off of Let's Dance. I have no doubt All 3 songs that we like are from Let's Dance are on there because that's our favorite album. What would be the one we didn't pick highest, you think?
So this one, what is it? I would say it's probably China Girl.
China Girl, because it's the lesser known out of all 3. So yes, China Girl. I have this at 8. You have it at 5. But again, all 3 of those songs are different sounding.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's Chinese. If he sings it in China, he probably even speaks the language Chinese. But I do like the shh part. And if you open the sleeve to the record, it probably says shh, right?
Yeah, and the guitar solo, it's just the bass. Do 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 do. That's it.
Right.
That's the solo.
All right, number 5, the only hit going past the 80s. And that's I'm Afraid of Americans, coming from 1997. So he wasn't quite 50 years old yet. That's why he can run away from all those people. He was an old guy. I have this at 4, you have it at 6. But he's afraid of Americans. He's talking about young Americans. This is not America. This is not America. I have not yet seen The Falcon and the Snowman, but I remember when that video came out. You know, they show the Falcons doing the sky. I didn't realize that was David Bowie singing. It was the Pat Metheny group, but he was singing with them. Okay, so like I said, he paired up with a lot of people. Next one up, number 4, also coming from Let's Dance. This would obviously be Let's Dance.
And the solo was done, not a big solo in Let's Dance with the do Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Was it really?
Yes.
I did not see that part. Oh, that's cool. You have this one as high as 3. I have it at 7. And they supposedly put out a 4th hit or 4th song on that album, but it didn't chart. So they're trying to
Put milk in for us.
No, let's see if we can get one more hit out of this. Okay, so they didn't. Number 3, our only top 3 song coming from the 70s, and that would be Young Americans. And from the self-titled album, you have this at 2. I have it down at 5. So yeah, you're ranking the songs up higher than me.
You gotta have it at number 3, or else he'll break down and cry. It's a later Christmas song.
Is it? Break down and cry.
That's the drum part.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, the saxophone solo I think is really good. Bob Seger's the one when I thought it was David Sanborn, it was Bob Seger, but it's not. Okay, number 2 come from the last album we remember of his, Tonight, and that's Blue Jean. And I have this as high as number 2. And you have it at 4. Most people don't like this. They think it's just a throwaway song. But attach that video to it. It's huge.
Yeah, the audience do some participation in it. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah.
Whatever that means.
But again, hear the song again or something.
But again, it's a movie within it, so the song isn't really happening. It's just he's shooting a movie.
Yeah.
And he supposedly David Bowie is Vic, right?
Yeah.
And the rock star would be somebody completely else because he never came out of the
yeah, but he acted like a scared weirdo. Hiding
and I remember when he couldn't get into the club, I remember feeling really bad for him. And he loses a shoe on the way up to the room, falls through the ceiling. It's funny, and he keeps talking to the black security guard like he's going to talk his way into the club. But it's just funny. But yeah, once you start the song, you know the video's almost over. That's where it ends. Okay, so that leaves us to our number 1. You know what it is. It's coming from Let's Dance. We both agree it's number 1, which means we're right.
Yes.
That would be
Modern Love.
Modern Love. Yeah.
I like the beginning. They're all running onto the stage.
Right.
But there's that weird. Is it guitar?
I know. It does have a unique sound.
Then the drums come in.
That's a song you can play to. Like if you have a drum set in your basement and you have the headphones on, this is a fun song to play with.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Some of his aren't very fun. Like Young American Pride.
Yeah, when you okay, I'm on the drums. Let's play Space Oddity. It's like no, there is. I don't even know if there is. Oh yeah, there's drums. At the end.
Yeah. But it's just odd and it's depressing. To me, that song is depressing. So I normally ask you, what song do you want to hear? That's the song I'm saying. What song do you not want to hear?
That's
when
the one
it comes on.
It's weird that they play that the most.
It comes on. I want to change it immediately. It's like Benny and the Jets.
You
like it. I turned it immediately.
I like the first note Elton John plays. Ding.
Yeah. So, but I'll ask you the other song. Which song do you want to hear on the radio?
I would want to hear. You know, do you hear anything else besides Space Odyssey?
Yeah. I think I hear Changes all the time.
Oh yeah, you pirate. Suffragette City maybe.
Blue Jean would be a good one to hear on the radio.
I would like to hear Young Americans. I never hear that. Yeah.
Okay.
I hear it because I like to play it, but not on the radio.
Yeah.
Blue Jean, never hear that.
I'd love to hear that.
That would be an interesting song to hear because they never play it.
Yeah, and it doesn't really have a saxophone solo, but it does have saxophone interspersed throughout the song. Oh, and here's something interesting I did see for Blue Jean. If you watch the video and you see the guy playing the bass behind him, he's from Right Said Fred.
Really?
You can tell he's not bald yet. He has a small haircut. But he would be the guy that sings "I'm Too Sexy."
But he wasn't too sexy for this video.
So, and I can't remember if he's dead or not. But anyways, David Bowie is dead. In case we forgot to tell you.
Yeah,
this.
we mentioned it.
He died in. Oh yeah, we did. 2016. So I think same year as Glenn Frey. Did we say 2016?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. So we haven't had a death recently. Keep checking. Somebody from Nazareth.
Yeah, if we have anybody die, we'll immediately do their.
Yeah.
If they're from the 80s. If they're not from the 80s.
Right.
We'll do it.
Like somebody from Nazareth died, but
Like
they didn't have a hit.
I
in the
was
80s.
listening on the radio. Wilson Phillips came on. And I'm like, the 80s. Their first hit was in the 90s. Their album. They formed their band in '89, but they didn't have a hit till '90. So right. We might do them just because they're so close.
All right, next week we have another blonde-haired guy, short-haired guy, and this one has
Not short, blonde-haired guy.
he's yay tall. He's got blonde hair. No.
Yeah, and we've done bands, and then we've done lead singers, and gone solo careers, and so next week a band we've already done is the singer from it.
In case you don't know what we're talking about, we have already done Genesis and Phil Collins. We've done the Eagles,
Don Henley and Glenn Frey.
So
and Van Halen,
we haven't done their singers.
we haven't done their singers yet.
Not yet.
It
They're
could be
coming.
Van Halen.
They're
Could be
coming.
Sammy Hagar. Could be David Lee Bowie. Could be somebody else. You'll have to look at previous.
You have to find out who we've done and who has blonde hair. That's your homework. And then we'll see you next week.
All right, bye.